Here is a long YouTube script, no brackets, no stars, about the 1995 D Washington quarter, its history, real value, and the truth about the $1.7 million claim. This coin looks ordinary. Just a simple quarter you might find in your pocket. But what if I told you that some people on the internet claim this exact coin could be worth up to $1.7 million? Sounds crazy, right? Today we are uncovering the real story behind the 1995 D Washington quarter. Its history, its true value, and whether it can actually make you rich. Let's start with the basics. The 1995 Washington quarter is part of a long-running American coin series that began in 1932. The design features George Washington on the front and an eagle on the back. This design stayed almost unchanged for decades until the state quarters program started in 1999. U.S. Coins Guide. Now here is something important. The letter D on the coin means it was made at the Denver Mint. In 1995, the Denver Mint produced over 1.1 billion quarters. That is a huge number. U.S. Coins Guide. And when something is made in such massive quantity, it is usually not rare. What is the value of a normal 1995 D quarter? If you find one in your pocket today, it is worth exactly 25 cents. No more, no less. Even uncirculated coins, meaning coins that were never used, usually sell for just $1 to $3. U.S. Coins Guide. Now here is where things get interesting. Some 1995 quarters are worth more money, but not because of the date alone. The real value comes from errors and condition. Error coins are mistakes made during the minting process. These mistakes can make a coin rare and valuable. For example, a double die error means the design appears slightly duplicated. These can be worth anywhere from $50 to a few $100s, depending on condition. Coin identifier. Another example is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned during minting. These can sell for $20 to several $100s. Coin identifier. One of the most valuable errors is when a coin is struck on the wrong metal blank. These rare coins can sometimes reach values of $1,000 or more. Coin identifier. But now let's talk about the big claim. The $1.7 million quarter. Here is the truth. There is no verified 1995 D Washington quarter that has ever sold for anywhere close to $1.7 million. The highest known auction sale for a 1995 D quarter is just over $1,000 for a nearly perfect coin graded at a very high level. U.S. Coins Guide. So where does this million-dollar idea come from? It usually comes from misleading videos, clickbait articles, or confusion with completely different coins. For example, some extremely rare coins from the 1700s or unique mint errors have sold for over $1 million. But those are entirely different coins, not a common 1995 quarter. The uneven coin collectors online often warn about this kind of misinformation. On forums, many experienced collectors say that most 1995 D quarters are just regular coins unless they have a clear and verified mint error. Reddit. So what should you actually look for if you have this coin? Check the condition. Is it shiny, clean, and almost perfect? Look for errors. Check the letters, the date, and the alignment. If you think you have something special, consider getting it graded by a professional service. Because in coin collecting, condition and rarity are everything. Can a 1995 D quarter make you rich? In most cases, no. But if you find a rare error or a perfect condition coin, it could still be worth hundreds or even over $1,000. And that is what makes coin collecting exciting. You never know what treasure might be hiding in your pocket. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare coins that could actually be worth big money, make sure to subscribe and keep watching, because sometimes the smallest coins hold the biggest surprises. If you want, I can also turn this into a viral style script with hook, suspense, and storytelling to boost views. Is a long YouTube script with strong storytelling, no brackets and no stars, about the 1987 D Washington quarter, its history, value, and the truth behind the $1.4 million claim. This small coin might be sitting in your pocket right now. You have probably used it without even thinking twice. But what if this ordinary-looking quarter could be worth a life-changing amount of money? Some people online are claiming that a 1987 D Washington quarter is worth up to $1.4 million. Is that real or just another internet myth? Today we are going to uncover the truth. Let's start with the basics. The 1987 Washington Quarter is part of one of the longest-running coin series in United States history. First introduced in 1932 to honor George Washington, this coin became a symbol of everyday American currency. For decades, millions of these quarters were produced every year and used in daily life. Now let's focus on the 1987 D quarter. The letter D on the coin stands for the Denver Mint. In 1987, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters. That means this coin is not rare in terms of how many were made. In fact, it was very common at the time and still is today. So if it is so common, why are people talking about it being worth $1.4 million? This is where things get interesting. A normal 1987 D quarter that has been used in circulation is worth exactly 25 cents. That is its face value. Even if you find one in better condition, maybe slightly shiny or well-preserved, it might only be worth $1 or $2 to a collector. But there is another side to this story. Coins are not just about the date and mint mark. The real value often comes from condition and errors. Condition is everything in coin collecting. A coin that looks almost perfect, with no scratches, no wear, and full original shine, can be graded at a very high level. These high-grade coins are much rarer than regular circulated ones. For the 1987 D quarter, coins graded at extremely high levels can sell for hundreds of dollars, sometimes even over $1,000 in rare cases. Now let's talk about mint errors. Mint errors happen when something goes wrong during the coin production process. These mistakes can turn an ordinary coin into something unique and valuable. For example, a double die error can make the letters or numbers appear slightly duplicated. An off-center strike can cause part of the design to be missing. There can also be clipped planchets, wrong metal strikes, or other unusual defects. These error coins can be worth anywhere from $50 to several $100s, depending on how rare and noticeable the error is. In extremely rare situations, a dramatic error combined with perfect condition could push the value even higher. But now we need to address the big question. Is there really a 1987 D quarter worth $1.4 million? The honest answer is no. There is no confirmed record of a 1987 D Washington quarter ever selling for anywhere near that amount. Not even close. The highest known values for this coin are usually in the range of hundreds to a little over $1,000. And that is only for coins in exceptional condition or with rare errors. So where does the million-dollar claim come from? Most of the time, it comes from viral videos, exaggerated headlines, or confusion with completely different coins. Some rare coins in history have sold for over $1 million, but those are usually extremely old coins, unique mint errors, or coins with historical significance that makes them one of a kind. The 1987 D quarter simply does not fall into that category, but that does not mean it is worthless. Coin collecting is all about discovery. It is about checking your change, looking closely at details, and sometimes finding something unexpected. If you have a 1987 D quarter, take a closer look. Check the condition. Look for any unusual marks or errors. Compare it with other coins. And if you think you have something special, consider getting it evaluated by a professional grading service. Because while you may not find a million-dollar coin, you could still discover something valuable. And more importantly, you become part of a hobby that connects history, art, and hidden treasure all in one small piece of metal. So next time you see a quarter, do not ignore it. It might not be worth $1.4 million, but it could still be worth more than you think, and that is what makes coin collecting so exciting. If you want, I can make an even more viral version with a stronger hook, suspense twists, and higher retention style for YouTube growth. Is a long, engaging YouTube script with strong storytelling, no brackets and no stars, about the 1989 D Washington quarter, its history, value, and the truth behind the $1.5 million claim. This coin is everywhere. You have seen it, used it, maybe even ignored it. It is just a quarter, right? But what if one of these coins could be worth $1.5 million? Sounds unbelievable. Today we are diving deep into the story of the 1989 D Washington quarter to find out what is real, what is rare, and what is just internet hype. Let's begin with the history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the first president of the United States, George Washington. What started as a one-year commemorative coin quickly became a permanent part of everyday currency. For decades, this design remained almost unchanged, becoming one of the most recognized coins in the country. Now fast forward to 1989, that the 1989 Washington quarter was minted in several locations. But the one we are focusing on today carries a small D mint mark. That D stands for the Denver Mint, one of the major coin production facilities in the United States. Here is something important to understand that in 1989, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters. That means the 1989 D quarter is not rare in terms of quantity. In fact, it is very common, and many are still in circulation today. So if it is so common, why are people claiming it could be worth $1.5 million? This is where the mystery begins. Let's talk about value. A normal 1989 D quarter that you find in your pocket is worth exactly 25 cents. That is its face value. Even if it looks clean and slightly shiny, it might only be worth $1 or $2 to a collector. But coins are not always about the average example. In the world of coin collecting, two things can dramatically increase value: condition and errors. First, condition. Coins are graded on a scale. The closer a coin is to perfect condition, the higher its grade. A coin that has never been used, with sharp details and original shine, is called uncirculated. At the highest levels, these coins become extremely rare because very few survive in perfect condition. A 1989 D quarter in top condition can sometimes sell for hundreds of dollars, and in very rare cases, over $1,000. Now let's talk about errors. Mint errors happen when something goes wrong during production. These mistakes can turn an ordinary coin into something unique. You might find a double die, where the letters or numbers appear slightly duplicated. You could see an off-center strike, where the design is not properly aligned. There are also clipped planchets, die cracks, and even coins struck on the wrong metal. These errors can make a coin much more valuable. Some 1989 D error quarters have sold for $50, $100, or even several $100s depending on the rarity and visibility of the mistake. In extremely rare situations, a dramatic error combined with near-perfect condition could push the value even higher. But now we need to face the big question: is there really a 1989 D quarter worth $1.5 million? The truth is simple: no verified 1989 D Washington quarter has ever sold for anything close to $1.5 million. There is no official auction record, no confirmed sale, and no credible evidence to support that claim. Where did this idea come from? Most likely, it comes from viral content, exaggerated headlines, or confusion with completely different coins. Some coins in history have sold for over $1 million, but those are usually extremely rare, one-of-a-kind pieces with unique historical importance or extraordinary minting errors. The 1989 D quarter does not fall into that category, but that does not mean you should ignore it. Coin collecting is about curiosity. It is about paying attention to the details that others miss. Every coin tells a story, and sometimes that story includes hidden value. If you have a 1989 D quarter, take a closer look. Check the edges, the lettering, and the date. Look for anything unusual. Compare it with other quarters. And if something seems different, it might be worth getting it checked by a professional. Because even if you do not find $1 million coin, you could still discover something valuable. And more importantly, you become part of a fascinating world where history, art, and treasure all come together in the palm of your hand. Next time you see a quarter, do not just spend it. Look at it. Because you never know what you might find. If you want, I can create a high-retention viral intro or thumbnail. Title ideas to help this video get more views. Here is a long, engaging YouTube script with strong storytelling, no brackets and no stars, about the 1984 D Washington quarter, its history, value, and the truth behind the $1.3 million claim. This small coin might look completely ordinary. You may have seen it hundreds of times, maybe even spin it without thinking. But what if one of these quarters could be worth $1.3 million? It sounds unbelievable, almost impossible. Today we are uncovering the real story behind the 1984 D Washington quarter, its history, its true value, and whether it could actually make you rich. Let's go back to where it all began. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the first president of the United States, George Washington. What started as a commemorative design quickly became a permanent part of American currency. For decades, this coin remained one of the most widely used and recognized coins in everyday life, that by 1984, the design had stayed almost exactly the same for over 50 years. On the front, you see the familiar portrait of Washington. On the back, a powerful eagle with outstretched wings, symbolizing strength and freedom. Now let's focus on the 1984 D quarter. The small letter D on the coin tells you it was minted at the Denver Mint. In that year, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters. That means this coin is extremely common. Even today, many of them are still in circulation. So, if it is so common, why are people claiming it could be worth $1.3 million? This is where the story gets interesting. Let's talk about the real value first. A normal 1984 D Washington quarter that has been used in everyday transactions is worth exactly 25 cents. That is its face value. Even if you find one in better condition, maybe cleaner or shinier than usual, it might only be worth $1 or $2 to a collector. But coins are not always about the average example. In the world of coin collecting, value depends on two major factors: condition and errors. Condition is extremely important. Coins are graded based on how well they have been preserved. A coin that has no visible wear, sharp details, and original shine is considered uncirculated. At the highest grades, coins become very rare because very few survive in near-perfect condition. A 1984 D quarter in top condition can sell for hundreds of dollars. In rare cases, a nearly perfect example could reach over $1,000. Now let's talk about errors. Mint errors happen during the production process when something goes wrong. These mistakes can turn an ordinary coin into something unique and collectible. You might find a double die, where the design appears slightly duplicated. There can be off-center strikes, where the coin design is not properly aligned. Some coins may have die cracks, clipped edges, or other unusual features. These error coins can be worth much more than regular coins. Depending on the rarity and visibility of the error, they can sell for $50, $100, or even several $100s. In very rare situations, a dramatic error combined with excellent condition could push the value even higher. But now we need to address the big claim. Is there really a 1984 D Washington quarter worth $1.3 million? The honest answer is no. There is no confirmed record of a 1984 D quarter ever selling for anywhere near $1.3 million. No major auction house, no professional grading service, and no verified collector has reported such a sale. So where does this number come from? Most of the time, it comes from viral videos, exaggerated headlines, or confusion with completely different coins that are truly rare. Some coins in history have sold for over $1 million, but those are usually one-of-a-kind pieces with extraordinary historical importance or unique minting errors. The 1984 D quarter simply does not fall into that category, but that does not mean it is worthless. Coin collecting is about discovery. It is about paying attention to small details that most people ignore. Every coin has a story, and sometimes that story includes hidden value. If you have a 1984 D quarter, take a closer look. Check the condition. Look carefully at the date, the letters, and the edges. Try to spot anything unusual. Compare it with other coins. And if you believe you have found something special, consider getting it evaluated by a professional. Because while you may not find $1 million coin, you could still discover something valuable. And more importantly, you become part of a fascinating world where history, art, and hidden treasure come together in one small piece of metal. Next time you see a quarter, do not ignore it. Look at it closely. Because even the smallest coin can hold a story worth telling. If you want, I can also create a high-retention intro hook, thumbnail text, and SEO title to help this video go viral.